Before we get into the chapters, I want to let you know that what you're about to hear is a true story. It's a story about me, and it happened about 10 years ago when my life was heading in the wrong direction. These 9 books weren't just things I picked out of curiosity. They became the tools I leaned on when I needed to rebuild everything. They shaped my habits, my priority, my faith, and even the way that I see myself today. So as you listen, I want you to know this isn't theory. It's lived experience. I hope this book encourages you. It teaches that some of the same lessons that carried me through can also help you rewrite your own comeback.
9 books, 1 life upgrade. Simplifying the self-help that actually works. Introduction, the books that rebuilt me. I used to wake up at 10 a.m., roll out of bed, and go straight to the screen. Video games, YouTube, anything to avoid facing the fact that I was drifting through life with no real purpose. I was lazy, unmotivated, and deep down I knew I was losing the battle. My priorities were backwards. Me first, then business, then my wife, and God? He barely made the list. And yet, from the outside, things looked okay. In fact, my business was growing, but I wasn't. I was slowly unraveling on the inside. No discipline, no mission, just motion. Then one day, everything changed. A car drove through my building. Out of nowhere, my entire office was wrecked. And as insane as it sounds, that moment, that crash, was the beginning of everything good in my life. For the first time in years, I paused long enough to realize I didn't like who I was becoming, and I definitely didn't like where I was headed. So I made a decision. I would rebuild my life, but not the same way. This time, I would build on a better foundation. God first, then my wife, then the mission, and me. My comfort, my distractions, last. That sounds noble now, but at the time, I had no idea how to actually do it. I didn't need more motivation. I needed a system, a new way to live. And it started with a book, The 12-Week Year. That book gave my goals structure. It showed me how to make change visible, measurable, and real. It was like someone handed me a blueprint for discipline, and it worked. From there, I kept reading. Not everything stuck, but a few books, 9 to be exact, rewired the way I live. This audiobook is about those 9. Books that reshaped my routines, woke me up, literally and spiritually, and helped me lead better, love better, and show up every day with clarity. Each chapter will break down one book, what it's about, what stuck with me, what I did because of it, and how you can apply it without reading the whole thing. So if you're tired of hitting reset, if you've been craving direction, and if something inside you knows you're capable of more, this is your invitation. Not to change everything overnight, but to take one step toward a better rhythm, a better system, a better you. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. The only competition is who you were yesterday. Chapter 1, The 12-Week Year, a plan that changed everything. If there was one book that flipped the switch for me, it was this one. The 12-Week Year didn't just inspire me, it activated me. Before this book, I understood what SMART goals were. I'd heard the terms, even written a few down, but they never meant anything. I didn't follow through. I had no urgency, no momentum. I had dreams, sure, but I didn't have drive. I didn't have a system. I was drifting through good intentions with no real action, and worse, I didn't know why. Reading The 12-Week Year changed all that. The concept is simple. Stop living by the year. Start living in 12-week sprints. Think about that. A full year condensed into just 3 months. It forces you to shrink your focus and speed up your execution. No more time to procrastinate. No more I'll get to it next month. You either do the work now or you don't. And when I started living that way, everything shifted. I began breaking my goals into weekly actions, creating simple scorecards, tracking exactly what I was doing and what I wasn't. And here's what surprised me. I didn't hate the accountability. I needed it. Each week, I could see my momentum, not in vague feelings, but in hard numbers. Instead of wondering if I was making progress, I knew I was. It gave my goals a pulse, and that's what I'd been missing. The bridge between where I was and where I wanted to be. Not more ambition, but alignment. This book gave me a system to make sure my actions matched my intentions. It's how I started waking up early, how I started planning with my wife, how I built consistency in prayer, fitness, business, everything. Not because I suddenly got motivated, but because I had a structure that didn't rely on motivation at all. I still live in 12-week sprints. Every quarter, I reset, refocus, recommit. And every week, I score myself, not to feel bad, but to stay honest. The 12-week year taught me that execution is the real separator. Not talent, not inspiration, just follow through. If you feel stuck, like you've got goals but no fuel, try this system. Just once. One 12-week sprint. And if you want to use the planner I built for myself, let me know. Comment in the chat. If 20 of you ask, I'll add it to the description. Free. This book gave my goals a heartbeat. It helped me stop drifting. And it was the first domino that made everything else in this audiobook possible. Now that I had a rhythm, the next step was building systems. So my life didn't just depend on willpower. And that's where the 4-Hour Workweek changed the game. Chapter 2. The 4-Hour Workweek, Systems That Set You Free. This book completely rewired how I think about time. When I first picked up the 4-Hour Workweek, I expected it to be another hype-filled book about quitting your job and traveling the world. That's not my life. I don't want endless vacations or to sit on a beach with a laptop. I love building. I love working. I just wanted to stop feeling like I was drowning in tasks with no margin to actually live. What I didn't expect was to learn how to build systems. Systems that could free up my time without sacrificing what I cared about. That's what this book gave me. It showed me that being productive isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, better. About focusing on the 20% that drives 80% of the result. About automating the things that don't need your brain, so you can give your best energy to the things that do. And most importantly, it gave me permission to not be the machine, to stop being the person who held everything together, and start designing systems that could hold it for me. Since reading this book, I've done more than just get efficient. I've built businesses. I started and sold a lighting company, not because I was a genius, but because I built repeatable processes that didn't rely on me doing every task. And recently, I launched my publishing company, Ink Owl Publishing, with the same mindset. What can I delegate? What can I automate? Where can I buy back time so I can invest it in things that matter? This isn't about being lazy. It's about being free. Free to focus on the mission, free to create without burnout, free to be present at dinner instead of buried in emails. I still don't live like Tim Ferriss. I don't take mini retirements or outsource every part of my life. But I took what worked for me and I applied it hard. If the 12-week year gave me action, the 4-Hour Workweek gave me structure, not just for my schedule, but for my life. And if you've ever felt like you're the bottleneck in your own goals, if everything collapses the second you stop pushing, you need this book. You don't have to carry it all. You just have to build it better. The next book helped me start doing exactly that, one habit at a time. It's called Atomic Habits. And if you've heard the hype, trust me, it lives up to it. Chapter 3, Atomic Habits, Identity Through Action. This one's everywhere. You've probably seen it on every list, every shelf, every YouTube thumbnail. And the hype? It's earned. Atomic Habits didn't just teach me how to build habits. It taught me how to build identity. Before this book, I thought discipline was about willpower, about pushing harder, forcing it, grinding it out, and sometimes quitting when I couldn't keep up. But James Clear broke it down in a way that finally made sense. He said, "You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." That line stopped me cold. Because I had goals, I always did, but I didn't have the systems. I wasn't the kind of person who followed through because I hadn't built the routines that would make follow-through automatic. And that's what this book gave me. Not just tips, not hacks, not motivational fluff, but an actual blueprint. Habit stacking was the game changer for me. Take one habit you already do, like making coffee, and stack something new onto it. You pray while your coffee brews. You stretch while the shower warms. You drink a full glass of water before checking your phone. One small action attached to another. And over time, those small hinges swing big doors. That's how I built my morning routine. That's how I started stretching daily, praying consistently, prepping meals, not by overhauling everything, but by layering one change at a time. The book also helped me reframe failure. Missing once doesn't ruin you. Breaking the streak isn't the same as breaking your identity. You're not aiming to be perfect. You're aiming to be consistent enough for it to become who you are. That clicked, because now when I miss something, I don't spiral. I reset, I return, I keep stacking. And that's the secret. This book didn't just improve my habits, it gave me control over my energy, my focus, my behavior. It gave me the confidence to say, I know how to build change that lasts. Not overnight, not sexy, but solid and sustainable. If you've struggled to stay consistent, if you've started and stopped more times than you can count, Atomic Habits will show you how to shift from goals to systems to identity. Because that's the real win, not just doing the thing out, but becoming the kind of person who does it by default. Let's keep going. The next book taught me how to stop overthinking and just do the hard thing first. It's called Eat That Frog, and it's probably the most practical tool in this entire list. Chapter 4, Eat That Frog. Stop waiting, start moving. This one is simple, but brutal, and that's why it works. Eat That Frog is based on a single idea. If the hardest thing you have to do today is eat a live frog, do it first thing in the morning. That way, it's behind you, and nothing worse can happen the rest of the day. That metaphor hit me harder than I expected because I knew exactly what my frogs were. The things I kept putting off. The hard conversation, the workout, the budget, the phone call, the project that actually mattered. And instead of doing them, I'd fill my day with everything else. Clean up the inbox, organize my files, edit something again that didn't really need it. Busy, but not better. This book called me out, and it gave me a new way to reset when I felt overwhelmed or stuck. Now, when I feel off, I ask myself one thing. What's the frog today? What's the one thing I'm avoiding? What's the one action that if I just did it, would move everything else forward? And then I eat it. First, fast, no second guessing, no buildup. And that discipline, it builds trust with yourself. You stop being the person who delays, you become the person who decides. The book also helped me prioritize better. Not every task deserves your focus. Not every checkbox on your list actually matters. The frog is the one that does, and that's where your energy should go first. So if you've been spending your best hours on low-impact tasks, if you've been ending your days wondering what you actually accomplished, start here. Find your frog and eat it before breakfast. Then watch what happens to your clarity, your momentum, and your self-respect. Next up, the mornings themselves. Because eating the frog is great, but what changed everything for me was owning the time before the day even starts. Let's talk about the 5 a.m. Club. Chapter 5, the 5 a.m. Club. Take back the morning. The 5 a.m. Club didn't just change my schedule, it changed my values. When I read this book, I was already beginning to rebuild my life. I had goals, systems. I was waking up earlier. But this book helped me realize why those early hours mattered so much. It's not just about productivity, it's about priority. I don't follow the 20-20-20 formula the book lays out. The whole move, reflect, grow structure. That part didn't really stick with me. But what did? Claiming my morning as mine. Starting my day with intention before the world gets loud. And using that time to keep the order of my life straight. God, family, mission, me. You see, the rest of my day goes to them, and to work, of course. But those first 3 hours? That's where I build. That's where I pray. That's where I learn. That's where I grow into the man I want to be before the sun comes up. Without that time, everything feels off. I get impatient, distracted, scattered. I chase instead of lead. This book helped me understand that the way I start my day is the way I carry it. And it's not just about the clock. It's about ownership. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to benefit from the message. You just need to stop letting your day begin in chaos. Because if you don't claim the morning will claim you. And once that happens, your priorities slip, your peace fades, and your growth stalls. For me, the solution was simple. Start earlier. Not so I could grind harder, but so I could live better, with clarity, with rhythm, with faith and family first. And here's the truth. You don't have to love mornings to make them matter. You just have to decide what matters most and give it your best energy. For me, that meant trading 10 a.m. video game mornings for 3 a.m. deep work with purpose. And I've never looked back. Now that the routine was in place, the next challenge was consistency, the kind that holds when life gets hard. That's where no excuses came in. And that one pulled no punches. Chapter 6, No Excuses. Discipline is the shortcut. I didn't want to read this book when I first saw it. No excuses? Sounded harsh, heavy, almost aggressive. But I needed it because even though I had systems, goals, and a solid morning routine, I still had a weakness. Excuses. Little ones. I'm tired. I've earned a break. I'll get back on track tomorrow. That soft voice in your head that sounds reasonable but kills your momentum. That's what this book exposed. Brian Tracy doesn't sugarcoat anything. He gets straight to the point. You can make excuses or you can make progress, but you can't make both. And I felt that. Because deep down, I knew when I was rationalizing. I knew when I was avoiding the hard thing. I knew when I was letting my emotions drive the bus. This book reminded me that discipline isn't about being a robot. It's about being honest. It's about deciding who you want to become. And then acting like it before it feels easy. No excuses help me eliminate the wiggle room. No more kind of trying. No more starting Monday. It gave me permission to say, this is the standard. This is who I want to be. So this is what I do, even when I don't feel like it. That shift changed how I treat my time, my health, my goals, and my family. Because when you stop making excuses, you start building trust with yourself. That trust, it shows up everywhere. In how you show up at work, in how you lead at home, in how you respond to stress, pressure, even temptation. This wasn't just a motivational read. It was a gut check. And sometimes that's what you need. So if you're someone who always means well but keeps falling short, start here. Drop the excuses. Raise the standard. Discipline is the shortcut. Let's keep going. The next book helped me lock that discipline in and treat it like a skill I could sharpen every day. It's called The Power of Discipline. Chapter 7, The Power of Discipline, Mastering the Inner Fight. This book felt like training, not emotional, not poetic, just sharp, practical, focused. The Power of Discipline taught me something I hadn't fully accepted before. Discipline isn't a personality trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained, strengthened, refined. You're not either born with it or not. You build it. That was a shift for me because I used to look at disciplined people like they were built different, somehow more motivated, more wired for willpower, more intense than I could ever be. But this book cut through that lie. It said discipline is like a muscle, and if you train it daily, even in small ways, it grows. That clicked because I love training skills. I always have. Whether it's tech, fitness, strategy, or systems, I get joy from improving things. So I applied that mindset to my self-control. I started treating every moment of resistance as practice. Every time I chose the healthy meal, the workout, the early wake up, the focused hour, I counted that as a rep. One more session in the gym of life. The book also reminded me that delaying gratification is a superpower, not because it feels good in the moment, but because it unlocks long-term gain. And I've seen it. Discipline helped me build my business without burning out. It helped me stay consistent with meal prep, faith routines, content creation. It helped me say no to good things so I could protect the great ones. The more I practiced, the more natural it felt. It didn't mean I never slipped, but it meant I didn't stay down when I did. I had a baseline, and every time I got back on track, it got easier to find my rhythm again. If you're someone who feels like discipline just isn't your thing, read this book, because it's not about being hardcore. It's about being intentional. And once you start to see it that way, every decision becomes a training ground. Which brings me to the next book. Because once I had systems, routines, and discipline in place, I still had one missing piece, belief. And that's where Think and Grow Rich entered the picture. Chapter 8, Think and Grow Rich, Success Starts in the Mind. This book is old school. The language is dated. The stories feel like a time capsule. But the message, still sharp. Think and Grow Rich taught me that belief isn't just emotional, it's strategic. That what you focus on, what you repeat, what you expect, shapes what you attract. The biggest shift it gave me? Stay open. Always be looking for opportunity. That one principle unlocked more in my life than almost anything else. Because opportunity doesn't always come with a spotlight. Sometimes it whispers. And if your eyes aren't open, you miss it. This mindset led me to build businesses I never would have seen coming. I started Lighting Effects, a permanent lighting company, and eventually sold it. But that was just the beginning. What came next happened in the dark hours, early mornings, 3 a.m. sessions. When most people were still sleeping, I was building. That's when Ink Owl Publishing was born. That's when Better Life Library, my YouTube channel, became more than just content. It became a community, a business, a mission, a brand. I even built a marketing company. All of it created from the margin I carved into my mornings and the mindset I took from this book. Because Think and Grow Rich isn't just about wealth, it's about awareness. It's about deciding that life isn't just happening to you. You're shaping it. And shaping it takes intentional thought. I started writing down visions, speaking things aloud, walking through the day with a mindset that said, what if this moment is the moment something opens? That's how doors show up. That's how the right people find you. That's how you stop saying, I wish I had a chance, and start building the thing that didn't exist before you showed up. This book challenged me to hold a vision bigger than my current reality and to back that vision with discipline and action, even if no one saw it yet. If you've ever wondered why some people seem lucky, start here. It's not luck, it's attention, it's alignment, it's belief reinforced daily until the path becomes visible. And now for the final chapter, the one book in this list that I didn't just read, I lived. The one I wrote when I had to rebuild everything from scratch. It's called The Comeback Code. Chapter 9, The Comeback Code, Rock Bottom to Rebuilt. This chapter's different because this isn't just a book I read, it's the one I lived. At 28 years old, I sold my company, Initial Care, a health and safety training business I had built from the ground up, and I sold it for less than my debts. Not because the business was failing, it was growing. We had momentum, but I was falling apart. Remember what I said back in chapter 1? I was lazy, waking up at 10 a.m., wasting time on video games, avoiding everything that actually mattered. I was disconnected from my marriage, my calling, my creator, just existing. Then one day, I was in a training session, a first aid course. Students were doing CPR drills. Out of nowhere, a car crashed through the training facility, right through the wall, into the middle of it. Nobody was seriously hurt. But that crash did something to me. It exposed the truth I'd been ignoring. My life wasn't sustainable, and it was about to collapse. So I walked away. From the company, from the old routine, from the version of me I no longer wanted to protect. And I started again. That's where the Comeback Code came from. Not as a book, as a survival tool. I needed something that would carry me when motivation disappeared. Something that would give me structure when everything felt scattered. A system, not just for success, but for stability. I built it slowly, through early mornings, small wins, hard resets, forgiveness, discipline, honesty. Over time, it became a framework, then a habit, then a way of life. Eventually, I realized this wasn't just for me. So I turned it into a book, not to glorify the comeback, but to share the code that made it possible. Now I wake up at 3 a.m. I build before the world wakes up. I pray, I write, I lead, I stay grounded. I've launched Ink Owl Publishing. I've built a marketing company. And I've turned my YouTube channel, Better Life Library, into a real community. Aside from the lighting company I sold, everything I've built has happened before most people even open their eyes. Not because I'm special, but because I kept mine open. I started looking for opportunity, and I learned to move when it knocked. That's what the Comeback Code is about, starting from the rubble and building again, with systems, with structure, with grace. If you want to hear the whole story, it's free right here on Better Life Library. The link's in the description. But don't miss this. Rock bottom is not a grave. It's a foundation. You can rebuild, you can change, and you don't need anyone's permission but your own. This is your moment. Now let's close it out.
Conclusion. This is just the start. 9 books, 9 shifts, 9 tools that help me rebuild a life I'm proud of. Not a perfect life, but a purposeful one. These weren't just books I flipped through on the weekend. They became part of my rhythm. They changed the way I wake up in the morning, how I plan my days, how I lead my family, how I pursue my calling, and how I continue to show up, especially when nobody's watching. Through them, I've learned that small wins stack, that systems always beat willpower, that discipline isn't some punishment. It's what happens when your life finally lines up with what you say matters. That how you start your morning shapes everything, and that excuses are the heaviest weight you'll ever carry. You don't need to take on all 9 books at once. Just start with one. Pick the one that spoke to you the most, and begin building something real.
If it was a 12-week year, run your first 12-week sprint. If atomic habits hit home, try stacking one small habit in your day. If no excuses convicted you, stop avoiding that one thing and face it. Whatever you do, don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. The only way momentum happens is if you start now. Messy, unsure, imperfect. Start anyway. You are not behind. You're not too late. You're exactly where you need to be to begin again. In the description down below, you'll find a free 12-week year planner template. It's the same one I use to stay focused and finish what matters, week after week. Download it, use it, and make it your own. And if you feel led to support the work that we've been doing here at Better Life Library, there's a donation button there too. No pressure, just an open door if you want to invest into the mission. If this audiobook helped you in any way, I genuinely would love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, hit like, leave a comment. I read everyone and I'll do my best to reply. Let me know which book hit home for you, what you're starting with, or even what you're going to change. Your feedback helps us shape this entire project. Thanks again for listening. Now go build something real.